G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our... Hang on a second. We're not supposed to be here.
Hang on, where's our bodies? What's going on?
Wait, I fixed it.
Who are those two?
Look at that bloke with the boat. Who's that?
Right, let us know when we go. Oh shit, there we go.
Look at that haircut.
Hello Ryan, I'm Robbie, how are you?
I'm
I
good,
don't know
mate.
who those other two people were. We had a bit of a competition going there about which cartoon character is going to suit us better.
And I just keep giving Dubs nightmares because I change my haircut every week so they don't work.
Have a look at bloody PFC / Sergeant bloody / Lieutenant Ryan coming in here, mate. Hey, welcome everyone to the next version of our Axon Live Q&A. We're going to talk about all things ADF property. It's been 2 months, Ryan, since we were on. Mm-hmm. The reason why we weren't on last month, Daniel, Tamara, Kieran, Keelan, is that they were over in San Diego, this little event called Social Media Marketing World. It's basically the Comic-Con of bloody marketing stuff around the whole world. So,
is there anything
as the
for
name
property
implies,
coaches around the world that we could potentially...
maybe there's something in Vegas. I said that to Caitlin the other day. She's like, I think I've found something. There's a home builder convention in Vegas. I'm like, they don't fucking build houses in Australia like they build over there, mate. So no, that's not happening. There's the team over in San Diego doing their thing. So look, why do we do that? First and foremost, no one has the vision like I have to go, if we want access to the very best brand, the best reputation, the best marketing, the best stuff you're seeing here, implementing AI, we've got to be able to get over there and like be amongst it. You can't just like sit back in Australia and have the bloody recording happening. So yeah, you know, we send the 4 of them over there. I know that there were very few Australians over there. There were very few people in the real estate sector, and I know that there was no one in the ADF property sector. So,
and by all stories, there was no one quite like Dubs.
Yes, he was a bit of a bloody superstar over there. So, yeah, that's the reason why, if anyone gives a shit about why we weren't here last month. Yeah, Debbie's already kicked us off. Thank you so much. Use the chat team, whether you're dialing in through Facebook, Insta, or YouTube. I spoke to a young client the other day. She's like, "Have you got a TikTok account?" I'm like, I don't have a TikTok account, but I believe the business has a TikTok account, but I don't think we're quite there yet, but that's all right. Justin from the Gold Coast is dialing in as well. But yeah, we've got a list of stuff that we've gone through over the last couple of months that we'll absolutely give you an insight into. But really, this is like our backup. Use the chat, ask us any questions you want, what's going on with land availability, what's going on with build timeframes, what's going on with prices, what's going on with market sentiment, like anything you want to know about the property space. We're not here for us. We sit next to each other.
Yeah, we talk all the time.
1 metre away generally. So we're literally talking and living and breathing this every day. So we're here for you right now to make sure you get the very best outcome. Actually, you said you spoke to one of your young diggers or troops, did a connection call with her?
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or today?
Today.
Yeah. What did she say?
She said to me, you know, obviously catching up, but she said, yeah, tell me, what's Robbie actually like? I said, exactly like he is on the videos. That's him, and I sit a metre away from him.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Hey, one really key event that we did go through though was Anzac Day and Easter have happened also. Geez, there were some bloody public holidays. over the last
good little period. I
over
think
the last-
I took a handful of days off and got 2+ weeks off.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, you deserve it. But look, we did something really special as a business, mate. We took me, you, the rest of the veterans, and again a couple of key other members of the team down to the famous MCG to watch the Bombers and Collingwood play. That's only the second time I've been to that game. And mate, there you go. There's a bit of B-roll there as well. The team's got the medals on, and listening to a couple of people jaw off there. I've got my bloody white suit and white pants on. Fuck no, that looks shit house actually. I won't wear that again. But anyway, mate, had your first time in the MCG?
First time ever.
Tell us
at the
about
MCG.
that. And there's 94,000 people pulsating through the joint. Give us a bit of an idea
it
about
was
how that
a
went.
huge experience. The MCG has been a bucket list for me, even though it's fairly easy to go there. Being up here in Queensland, I don't often find myself down there.
Sit down, mate.
So it was quite the experience, as you can see from some of that footage.
Yes.
Yeah, 97,000 people, last post playing. You could hear a seagull flying through the stadium, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike
Incredible.
rugby, that fucking Yahoo, when the
they
Styles
carry
is on, us AFL folk tend to be a little bit more respectful there. So, mate, I'm really glad that you got to experience
Very
that.
grateful.
It was really, really cool. In amongst that, though, so a couple of weeks leave for you, public holidays, whatever else. Like literally a couple of months ago when we had our last Q&A, I did this behind your back, and I'm going to sort of wow you here a little bit. You and I have done 160 client calls in the last 2 months.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus H Christ, as the saying goes. And that's a lot. And I've been doing this for a couple of indoor cricket seasons now, and I can't remember that volume of inquiry coming through and just the amount of different conversations we're having with all these different people.
Yeah.
And I mean, just give us a bit of it. So people ask me, like, if you're doing most of your client calls at night time, what do you actually do during the day? And thankfully with our pod system all set up here, people are booking calls during the day. But mate, just give us a bit of an insight about the life of a coach as far as fielding a lot of those questions and having all those conversations. Like 160 different ones between the two of us is, I don't know what your measure of busy/productive is, but I sure as shit feel like we've changed a lot of people's lives in a very short period.
That is a huge number. I didn't realise that it would have been that big, even considering Anzac Day and Easter and stuff. But that number really just speaks to a couple of things. People are incredibly interested about getting into the market, the property market, and that they don't know where to start and they want help. Which is ultimately where we come in. But that volume of people reaching out to us, that's 160 different people, 160 different circumstances, 160 completely different conversations, completely different problem solving. It's a really, I've said it before a couple of times on the show, it's a very unique role, and it's very fulfilling to sit down with people and get to know them, understand their problems, how we can help them, and move forward from there. And to do that, 160 times in 2 months is huge.
Mate, what I love about it is there's a really healthy smattering of people that have used our services and come back and want to put a plan in place to buy another property. And that's good, and people are doing really, really well. But as we've also experienced, and we're going to outline a few here tonight, and they just happen to be more in your lane, there's people that have got themselves in a bit of a pickle as well. They're actually not following the plan and doing random shit with their finances, which is not moving them closer towards their goals. Do you find that interesting?
It's hard to hear and watch because my first property was with Axon, so I, touch wood, haven't made a lot of mistakes. I've been quite stuck to the plan and it's worked out well for me. So that's why I'm here, because I want people to do that. So when people do go off the plan a little bit, which at the end of the day it's their journey, they can make the decisions in their life. It is hard, but we will always be here to reel them back in if that's what they need, provide support to get them through some not so great decisions if that's what they've done. I've
heard you say it a few times. They're like, I know that's the plan, but we've decided, we've had a bit of a chat and we're going to go do X, Y and Z. What do you do? Okay, good on you, mate.
Cool.
Go do that then. It's that's a job of a coach, and when you're guiding and mentoring people, is to enlighten them about what may give them a better outcome. But as you didn't use this term, but it's their train set, your train set. You're ultimately in charge of what your financial future looks like. So you want to go do some things that are not on the plan, then you'll reap the rewards or not going forward.
absolutely.
I want to throw something over to you, and this is something that, ladies and gents, we have been tracking on your behalf over the last few months, and Ryan has given some fantastic updates, both in our coach talks and the last couple of months when we were here, etc. And we're talking about, changes to the first homeowners grant here in Queensland.
Yep.
And we've literally been seeking and sourcing and trying to find answers to all this stuff. And I went and had a boozy golf day with the solicitors that we use, the conveyancing solicitors, on Friday, and he's like, hey, by the way, we've just had word come down through that they've finally made some changes, so boom, we've been onto it straight away. So hit us up with the update.
Yeah, I mean,
so what's current circumstance?
Yeah.
So those that don't know, and where are we going to go?
Current situation is in Queensland first homeowner grant, it's a 30k grant that's available to you. We knew from the previous Premier that was a 2-year period that you could get it. So that was going to expire, or will expire, essentially at the end of this financial year, and revert back to the previous first homeowner grant at the time, before the 30, which was 15. We were anticipating, or just hoping, I guess, that the new Premier potentially would extend that grant out beyond that time frame.
Yeah, there it is, come up on the screen there, Daniel. That's fantastic,
30th
mate.
of
Thank
June.
you.
So
yes,
we now have the confirmation that the state Premier has held that 2-year time frame, and it's reverting back to 15k as of the next financial year. Yeah.
Still one of the higher ones across the country, though.
Most
grant.
other
Most
states
are
are 10. Yep.
So it's not to be sneezed at there. But the qualifying criteria also sort of kick in, so you can't earn more than 200 grand a year in a household. And look, at the end of the day, the first time owners grant is there to help people that are struggling to get into the market. And if you and your family unit are earning more than 200 grand a year, let me tell you, you ain't fucking struggling. Or if you are struggling, I'll go back to my previous point, buying shit that you don't need, or your money mindset and money habits needs a little bit of a recalibration. First time I've done that, I reckon. But the sticking point's been the cap on the price limit of the properties, though. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so depending on where you're investing in Queensland, so it's a cap of 750k statewide. We know that in a state there's many different markets. So the same, or a property in Cairns or Townsville isn't going to be the same price as, say, Western Brisbane.
No.
For example. So we were anticipating or hoping that the cap of 750 would also be reviewed and potentially be taken up to, say, something like 800, which I think is more in line with what the average new build is in the state.
4-bedroom home.
4-bedroom, typical first home. Average build is above 750.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it stayed at the 750.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It has. So yeah, look, that's going to be tricky.
It will be tricky.
For those who have watched our training videos before, we're like, hey, when you are posted to Southeast Queensland, it is arguably one of the better places in Australia that it is a good idea, in our opinion, to pull the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements, to get your HPAS, get your DHOAS, get your first home owners grant, etc. And certainly the last couple of years has been very bountiful and very great results for a couple of clients.
Yep.
Good for those that got in early,
Yep.
but those that are just starting to enter now, it's dropped back a little bit and the prices haven't moved with the modern sort of state of the market. So it's just one of those things, I suppose. It's but again, plan early. You can't put your head in the sand. You can't hope it's going to change. You might as well just embrace what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I know you had a conversation with some clients that reached out and were coached by Luke when he was here a couple of years ago. And they've been busting their ass, to put it lightly, making all the changes, doing all the right things to get themselves to a point where they can do it. And then you had a call with them today, and
in that 2-year period, they're looking for their own home, IVO Amberley, and the market has moved considerably beyond what they can borrow. So unfortunately for them, and beyond the first homeowner grant as well. So unfortunately for them, that COA 1, which was always in play for a couple of years, is no longer viable. No dramas.
Yeah.
We switched targets.
What did the gentleman say? Because on the plan back a couple of years ago, house prices were how much?
They were planning around a 630 acquisition.
Yeah.
And I had on the plan 775 being fairly conservative, I would say.
Yeah. So I don't mind saying now that, for those that are listening to us out near Rathbase Amberley in that Ripley corridor area, cast your mind back a couple of years ago, 630, 650 was the going rate.
Yeah.
What is it now? 750 plus.
Yep.
And what did he say?
Yeah, he was like, how can it have done this in a year or two.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a strong market.
Yes. That's what's supposed to happen. That's
that is what's supposed to happen.
What about the people that bought out there in like 2020 that paid $450?
Yeah.
They all love us, as you can appreciate. But anyway, look, it's just, I feel disappointed for that couple who have busted their ass and done all the right things, followed our direction over the last couple of years, not gone off on doing random shit, but the market's moved from underneath them. So they're at a Y junction. What do they do now? What do you do now, platoon commander?
Well, that's right. Now we alternate the plan. So, you know, we're now exploring an investment property in a different location that's within budget. They still get into the market, and they will continue to use DHA and RA and do all the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. Speaking of markets, we're about to do something that we've never done before.
Yes. Exciting.
We've been doing this for quite a while. As soon as COVID hit, I'm like, I can't go travel anywhere. How am I going to continue to talk to all my followers? And I've got some followers. Three. You two. Like, sorry, me, my mirror, and you two. That's my only two followers, right?
Tamara doesn't follow you at all?
She provides feedback. She doesn't. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. So I'm really, really excited to showcase some types of properties that we've never done before. You know, we've always been very selective. Only those people that are part of our long-term coaching program get to know where the locations are. And I'm not going to share that tonight. Only those people that are that are inside your success package get to actually see what types of properties are available to be bought. And then, of course, all of you see the success stories that we write every couple of weeks as well. But we're going to go upstream, Ryan. That's my favourite saying, isn't it? We're going to go upstream, and we're going to show all of you tonight, in a minute, Daniel, not yet, of exactly some new type and style of properties that we do get access to. And I can't wait to see the chat just light up with your feedback as far as what these things look like. Let's go back up. So Justin Simmons in the house, no dramas. Debbie said dinner and a show, am I ready? Caitlin said good evening friends. Can my plan include a new car? Caitlin, I'm not sure where you're dialing in from, but that would be some random comment that... anyway, speak to your coach. Speak to your coach and speak to your husband. See if he wants to sell a bunch of crypto. The only time I hear crypto from his voice is when it's going up.
When it's up,
and we don't hear about it either than that. CJ Wynn's in the house. Brother, good to speak to you. You coached one of CJ's mates the other day.
I did, yes.
Kev.
Kev. Yeah, we've been trying to link up for a couple of months. He's a very busy dude up at Amberley. But so Kev's jumped in our coaching program, and we're putting a plan in place for him.
Amazing. And then Jordan's in the house as well, so looking forward to catching up with you and Mel again soon. Caitlin's in the house. The three of us, what is it, 6:46. At 6:30 tomorrow night, we'll be doing this. Surrounded by 20 to 25 people down in Sydney. And we'll do the same thing the next night down in Canberra. And I was like, it's 6:30, mate, we'll be able to have our first beer. What did you just say to me?
Is it going to be the first?
It's the first official beer past 6:30, but there might be a couple of warming rounds. We want to make sure the MPI's over the top of the CZP. If you don't have a military background, you have fucking no idea what I just said, but those that do, if you know, you know.
You don't even know. No idea.
Not even you know. You've been with us for 4 years and you don't even know what that means.
No idea.
No, we want to make sure a couple of warming rounds that are in the barrel ready to go. But yeah, that's going to be an amazing event. So for all of you that are registered for our Sydney event, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you. If you have no idea what a Sydney event is, you're not one of our clients yet, so that's on you to get fixed. Make contact with us. Here's a couple of bit of B-roll. That's the Brisbane event from last year. Well, that's happening on the 20th of June later in the year. Yeah, so we're Sydney tomorrow night and then Canberra on Thursday night, 6:30 for both events. If you are in those locations and you're just discovering that it's occurring right now and you've got a success package under your belt, please get in touch with us and we'll try and squeeze you in.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to it. Didn't get to do Sydney, Canberra last year. So a bunch of clients down there and just general property community that are inside the Axon success package that I'm really looking forward to meet. Yeah.
And let me tell you, I've done this a few times now and it is just so thrilling. The connection that we have with people on Zoom and on the internet, on the YouTube or the Instagram is amazing. But it's not when you get to speak to someone face to face, look them in the eye, shake their hand, have a drink, have a softie, share a brew, whatever it is. Life is never the same. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward, mate, for you to experience that a lot. It's going to be fantastic. So our annual client meetups, we are on the road. Sydney, Canberra over the next couple of days, Melbourne in a few weeks' time, Brisbane in a few weeks' time, Perth we're planning to come across to see you. And Townsville and Dale and everyone's on fucking exercise doing the whole Talisman Sabre thing. So yeah, you guys enjoy that. Woo. All right, let's rock and roll. We want to be able to basically now put forward some information about these brand new properties that we've got access to. Daniel, I don't know what you're going to put up first, so I'm actually interested to see what's going to come behind us here on the screen. But let me see when that's coming up. 1, 2, 3. Yep, soon.
It'll be coming up soon.
All right, no worries at all.
Cool.
So yeah, this is
There we go.
look at this. These are terrace homes. Look at that. Tell us what your initial feeling is when you see these straight away. You can see that there are 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom options.
Mm-hmm.
The 4-bedders are generally on the outside with a bit of a space around the outside there, and the 3-bedders are in the middle. These are pretty much exclusive to us over the next couple of months. They are house and land.
Yep. That's important,
Stamp
right?
duty on the land only. Go through the normal build. They can be sold individually afterwards. No body corporate in amazing
strata,
master plan. No strata in amazing master plan communities in a massive booming growth corridor somewhere in Australia, and they're all under 700k. So it's I'm really looking forward to a few of you that we are coaching right now. You are going to be pointed towards one of these to have a bit of a look.
Yep.
And yeah, it's going to be so good to have a bit of a look. Yeah, look at that, Jordan. First IP was at Terrace. Best action ever taken.
Yeah, look at that.
Justin, who works with us now, and his one of his properties up in here in South East Queensland was a terrace home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got it for like 550, 575, whatever it was. It's now like worth 850.
Yeah.
So again, we've got to work within your budget underneath the umbrella of the growth corridor, which is going to perform for you going forward. So yeah, that's. I hope everyone liked seeing that, which is really good. Dave says he's excited for these terrace homes. Angie said, "Love, they look so beautiful and modern. Love the concept. I have 2 in my portfolio," says Deb. 100%. CJ Wynn, are you guys tracking the changes to DHOAS? Supposedly good one. A few rumours and emails flying around from work for the recruiting and retention teams talking about changes. That might be an internal to defence thing, CJ, mate. Happy for you to just sort of enlighten us a little bit there. CJ, thank you. They look amazing. Just give us a quick little sort of bullet point there, CJ, on the overall sentiment about what changes to DHOAS might be forthcoming. So I don't mind saying, mate, that no, we don't know what you're tracking from an internal comms perspective.
Look, we've heard some rumours about potentially bringing other banks on board and some other couple of changes, but for us at the moment, it's all rumour and we're not inside the wire anymore. So if there is additional information on the DRN or whatever they're calling it these days, then yeah, we're not necessarily privy to that.
Yeah, no worries at all.
I think there's some more stuff up above.
Up a little bit above, no worries.
Keep heading up above, CJ.
Boom. Dean Jett just started the Axon journey. Cannot wait to see the growth. James Wilkinson, question for Ryan. Who is your sharp barber?
Oof. That's my lawnmower.
James, you need to stay away from barbers. That's all I'll say about that, brother. Jordan says, looking forward. Caitlin says, touche, happy days. And then, Daniel, will you be able to just chuck in there the connection call link for our friend Amit, who wants to know what it costs to be a club member? Amit, you'll be able to basically book a connection call with us, mate, and speak to Ryan and I. And based on your circumstances, we'll be able to give you an indication of what things look like for you going forward. And Debbie says, I've not heard anything from Bankland as of yet from a DHOAS perspective.
Yeah, great.
As one of the very few accredited and licensed DHOAS providers through the Australian Military Bank, if Deb knows it, it'll be coming through our way. So CJ says, I don't have the details now. Happy to back brief when I get them. Thank you, Rob.
Cool.
Thank you, my friend. Awesome. Mate, let's talk about cash flow.
Okay.
Because even though interest rates, I've seen 3 different reports now that are all indicating from 3 separate sources across the media and the banks saying that interest rate direction will continue to be down all the way through until about this time next year.
Yeah, next year.
Some, including the National Australia Bank, one of the big 4, have said that interest rates could drop by up to 2% from where they are now, having a cash rate of 2.6%, not 4.6%. So that'll make a metric shit ton. That's a technical term for a lot of difference to your borrowing power and or cash flow.
And home repayments and
interest. Yeah. So let's talk about offset accounts for a second, because I know that You spoke to a client who's
Yep.
got a property,
Yep.
who's got a mortgage,
Yep.
and a bunch of money sitting in an account
Yep.
that's not in an offset.
No.
Well,
That's Dean.
oh, there you go. I did not know.
Yeah. If that's Dean, if that's the same Dean, that's you, mate. I'm pointing the finger at you, naming and shaming. But he has, in 24 hours, rectified his situation.
You don't know what you don't know.
No,
He's
that's
done
right,
nothing
that's right.
wrong.
Yeah, absolutely not.
If he had been enlightened about the situation,
Yep.
saw the impact and
Yep.
done nothing,
Yep. The bank is not going to tell you, hey, come and put your money in an offset account, because ultimately they get less money.
yes.
So you don't know what you don't know. But yeah, it's a very powerful tool over the long term, but it can help with short-term cash flow.
Yep.
You know, an offset account is about reducing the amount of interest that is charged at the end of each month on your loan.
Yeah, it has a bigger effect when you're doing an interest-only loan.
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying any principal on the loan, which is fine for the first couple of years.
Yeah, Dean said guilty. There he is.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Well done, Dean. I don't know you, my man, but I like you already. But that would be So if you've got your loan with an offset account, you are paying less interest. Therefore, your cash flow is going to be immediately better. When you've got a principal and interest loan, the repayments stay the same, but the ratio of principal and interest over that payment is more in your favour, so you pay your home loan off quicker. Right, so it doesn't necessarily impact cash flow, but it's certainly having your money work harder for you. I coached some clients a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, we don't do offset accounts, we've got our money in a high interest savings account. You know, back in the day, the barefoot investors talking about ING. What's the latest trend now?
The big one at the moment is the Macquarie Bank. So they're at like 5, and I think they're bumping it up to 5.1% next month or something.
Okay.
So that's the latest ING saver.
And you know what I say to people? I'm like, okay, awesome. So you got, 100 grand sitting in an account, and you got your 5% savings, which is 5% interest rate on the savings. So you're making 5 grand over that year.
Yep.
All right, no dramas. I said that's really good. I said your offset account, your interest that you might be having on your investment property or your own home, let's just say that's 6%.
Yep.
All right. So, but here's the thing. I'm like, that's all well and good to have your money in a high interest savings account earning you money, but as you know, the tax laws in Australia say you need to pay tax on all earnings, including any interest. So now you may as well swipe 30 cents in the dollar on average off that 5 grand, which is only net like 3,800 or so. So now you're only getting 3,800, and you say you're only maybe getting 4% net, as opposed to your money in an offset account, which is like 6% net. What would you rather, 4% or 6%? And then they're like, right, now I'm starting to get it. Like, you could literally see their axons ticking over in their brain going, this is a different way of thinking about this. I'm like, right, we're not trying to make money, we're saving ourselves paying money. And if it's like the better part of 1% difference over the long term,
over 30
why
years,
wouldn't you do that?
When you've got that 6% hole in your bucket and you're trying to fill it with 3%, it's going to be a difficult task. And when I take clients through, all right, let's map this out over the life of a loan, over 30 years. And it becomes pretty clear with the forecasting and mapping tool that we use, it's a savings of hundreds of thousands of dollars. To have your cash sitting in it, or the bulk of your cash sitting in an offset account. And over that period, a 5% savings account is not going to earn you that much.
Not a chance.
Not even close.
When we're talking about having the right mindset and being educated and like keeping yourself sharp in the market, I heard a great saying today. It's like, you can't keep a blade sharp unless you've got a whetstone.
Oh, good one.
And I was like, did he just call me a whetstone? He's referring. And I was like, I'm going to try and use that tonight on the line.
There you go.
So, you like it too?
Got it in. Yeah.
I was like, tick, tick, tick. I'm like, actually, I don't mind that one. I've been called a wet rag before, but not a whetstone. So, yeah, everyone needs a whetstone to keep a blade nice and sharp. So, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. So, yeah, it does come with education and coaching and like just exposure to the right information. Brett Smith, to your point, brother, you said, what would you say is the biggest issue currently facing homeowners, both in residential and investment perspective? So generally, the first thing I'll say, of course, is access to the right information to make smart decisions, and having a plan in place to then allow you to implement those smart decisions, right? I don't care whether you work with us or work with anyone else. Just do what me and Tamara did back in 2017 when old mate said, I don't want you to work with me anymore. Buy a fucking whiteboard off Gumtree for $50 might be 75 now with a bit of GST. Buy a whiteboard and do a planning session of your life so you've got some sort of direction if you don't want to get a third party involved.
Yep.
Just so you can like synchronise what the elements are of your life going on. So Brett, that's definitely the first bit there that people face. They do shit without having a plan.
Yeah.
Right? And then I guess the next thing would be is that for homeowners, they generally want to buy in an area where they want to live, and that is a lifestyle decision.
Yep.
Do not confuse that with a money-making decision.
Yes.
As opposed to Brett, where you and your family are buying, you are buying in that area to live in a beautiful home while your current posting is in location, and it's going to go up in value. It's not your dream home. You're going to move out of that property in a few years' time. I want you to let the door hit you on the arse on the way out, actually, and then you just turn that sucker into a money-making machine, and you're out of there and away you go.
In accordance with your plan that you put in place.
That's right. We use a virtual whiteboard. There's this thing called the PowerPoint, which you and I are not too bad at. So yeah, I think definitely Brett. And then it all just comes down to the numbers.
The numbers. Yeah.
You know, so getting the right information, putting a plan together, getting clarity on whether you're buying this property to make money or live in it, because that's where you want to live, and only those few. There's a rare few that get the best of both worlds, and again, it comes down to synchronising the plan.
Yep.
And then we just need to make sure the numbers stack up.
Yep.
Would you say, like, initially those are probably the biggest hurdles that people are facing?
Yeah, I would think it's the direction that people are trying to go in and what they're trying to achieve. Exactly what you said. And then I'm glad you've kind of finished there on numbers. That's probably the biggest thing for me. That's playing into homeowners and investors alike. Property is, at the end of the day, a numbers game with some bricks and mortar thrown in at the end.
Yeah.
Unless it is your own home and it's a lifestyle decision, then it may not matter as much. However, that comes with an element of consideration that you could be putting yourself in a situation where you may not be able to hold your home long term. So it really is, you can have all the plan and all the intent, all the strategy in the world, but the numbers have to work, whether it is your dream home or, in the school catchment, whatever that might be, or your investment property.
Yeah. We're fucking not going to script tonight. There's just so many things running through my head, right? Because you, again, come to me and like, I was speaking to clients about trying to work out what strategy was going to work for them.
Yep.
And this gentleman couple you spoke to, I can't remember, no names, no pack drills, of course, is that they are heavily influenced by family and friends, what they've done in the past.
Yeah. Yep.
And I believe you said to me something like, one of his family members are savvy property investors. Right, and I'm like, all right, cool. They've got their shit together. They've done their own research. They've got runs on the board. They've got multiple properties, and they've got a really good net position. That's a savvy property investor to me.
Yep.
And then you saw clarity on that, and he said something like, well, they're savvy property investors because they bought their own home, the only property they've ever bought, in Sydney in the year 2000, which has obviously gone up a lot in value.
They're now millionaires, in value.
Yes.
In home value. Yeah.
And I had a bit of a chuckle. I'm like, that's not a savvy property investor. That's someone who made a lifestyle decision in 2000 and rode the fucking wave for the last 25 years.
Yeah. Yep.
This is interesting, wasn't it? This is mindset 101 stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it was.
I just totally stole your story then.
That's all right. You've been doing it for years.
And we'll continue to do so. I'm just reflecting on you talking to me. I'm like, that doesn't stack up. That doesn't stack up. And I'm glad you took that call, because I probably would have been provided different type of feedback. You were gentler.
Probably have a softer approach. And I mean, this gentleman's reaching out to us for help, which is great. And thankfully, his parents have, at a point in time, bought the family home in a really good location, which, as we know, Sydney market has gone gangbusters for a couple of decades now. However, as a property investor, if all of your wealth is tied up in your own home, that becomes a little bit tricky in terms of long-term passive income, i.e. there isn't any. So as the definition of a property investor, are you a savvy property investor, or have you just bought your own home and it's done really well?
If they had said they bought their own home, it's gone up in value, and they've used multiple access equity multiple times and bought a property and built a property portfolio from that, I'm like fucking golf clap all the way.
Yep.
But just because you bought your own home and you're slugging away at your 30-year mortgage and all your money's in your house, you guys have heard me say the same before, a bit of tongue in cheek. This is not bloody the Solomon Islands or East Timor, the two regional areas where defence members have been deployed over the last 20 years. where you can knock a bloody mud brick out the side of your house and go and sell it down the flea market and feed your family for a week. That's what happens over there in full third world countries.
Yep.
In Sydney, I don't think that happens. So what happens? What happens when you stop working? Where does the passive income come from? So no, it's really cool. So Brett, hopefully that helped you out with that one there, mate. As far as that's the number one issue of people trying to get into the market right now. And then of course it goes into knowing where to buy to allow those, if you do have a full wealth creation mindset, sure, we've got the 7 ingredients to a healthy property market, and sure, there's a couple of generic areas on the map of Australia that we put out there for free to give people an indication about what actually happens, but the devil's in the detail. It's not that easy of just going, oh, they said to go that area there, I'll just go buy anywhere there, because suburbs are not the same as each other.
And types of property. Yep.
And then what have we got down here? Patina Ryan, you said if interest rates on home loans reduces, so does interest rate on savings accounts. I think hopefully we'll sort of covered off on that one, mate. Patina, you and Matt have got a good little portfolio that you have created with us after, by your own admission, being in a very unhealthy money habits and mindset position some 4 or 5 years ago. So absolutely kudos to you. My fucking family chat's going nuts. I need to bloody turn that shit off. Dominica, stop sending me stuff. I need to keep this on so I can keep this happening. So yeah, kudos to you, mate. But yeah, you don't need a savings account, Patina. You need your money in your offset accounts, buddy. That's where it needs to be.
So if on that thread of buying property, buying well-performing assets over the long term, what happens if you purchase a asset that's underperforming?
Well, here's the
for a
thing.
period of time?
All of you know we are a buy and hold long-term intergenerational wealth property philosophy firm.
Yep.
Proven over the years. I grew up in country South Australia. Lots of very hard-working, amazing, fine Greek and Italian people were around my local area. Some old mate bloody shared a photo of me in primary school the other day. I'm like, geez, evidence to what I'm talking about. And all of those people have got the the Europeans have got a lot of intergenerational wealth in their mindset. And that's all well and good. And if you can hold properties for a 30-year period, which is the life of the loan, and sure, the market's going to go through its natural cycles, but if you get to a point where there is no tangible, foreseeable, any sort of forecast which is going to get your property out of a bit of a slump that it's in right now, why the fuck are you still going to keep it?
Yeah.
One of the clients I spoke to, I said, right, that property there, you've had it for 16 years, it's gone up, I don't know, it had gone up about 200 grand in 16 years, and when you crunch the numbers, that's not very good growth. I said, give me a rating. He's like, oh, it's probably only about a 4. I'm like, that's being generous. Okay. And then we did another one, and that came out at a 5. And I just said to him, I said, bro, you are a fucking weapon of a bloke. You've done so well with your finances. You have made the transition from military into the corporate world. I am so proud of you. You are not a 4.5 out of 10 sort of guy.
Yeah.
I said, I know you're proud of these properties that you bought back in the day. I know you've done the right thing. He goes, oh, they were good when I first bought them. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
But what have they done for the last 10 years? And if you're telling me there's no forecast tangible change coming, they've got to go. He's like, all right, I have to need to sit on this. And yeah, he's, to his credit, sat on it overnight, come back. I'm like, so this is like basically getting rid of old kit and replacing it with brand new kit. I'm like, if you want to characterise it that way, then that's what we're doing. So no, yeah, I mean, your family's been in property a long time as well. Like it's one of those things, really, isn't it?
It really is, and this is about going back to having a plan and a strategy, and always coming back to it and reviewing your plan, because it sounds like this gent obviously bought those properties a while ago, and it was a bit of a set and forget. And it's, you look at the historical data of the locations that he bought in, they did do fairly well for the first couple of years, and then they just sat flat, and that's actually backwards after inflation and tax and costs and stuff. So whilst we are buy and hold, because that's where true wealth from property comes from, if you find yourself in a position where you have an asset that is not creating you true wealth, it really is about shifting the mindset to go, all right, old kit, new kit, let's re-strategize and go again in a potentially better location.
Yeah, especially like we all know that a investment property has 2 forms of guaranteed income, rent return and tax return. A large part of that is the non-cash deductions of the depreciation over the first 5, 6, 7 years if you're using the diminishing value method. Consult your accountant for specific advice. And these properties are like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And he's earning a few $100,000 a year,
Yep.
which means he's got a tax problem that needs to be looked at. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gents, no one, you included, that's no one, anyone, should ever buy a property to reduce the amount of tax that you're paying. But if you can reduce the amount of tax you're paying and you make money in the first, and you make money also, then that's a fucking no-brainer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the whole dropping the old kit and replacing it. I'm so proud of him for allowing his mindset to just be. He said to me, I said, mate, you've done really well. Look at your portfolio. Like, what do you need me for? He goes, I'm in my own echo chamber.
Yep.
I think I know what I'm doing. I just need someone who's dislocated from my portfolio enough to just look at it slightly differently. And then we had that chat, and away we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so cool to be involved in. Let's talk about another trend which has sort of come our way. We've now got access to that we've never done. Also,
yeah,
it's Queensland. We have been Queensland centric over the last quite a few years, quite frankly. And those people, that bought, like I said before, in that sort of Ripley corridor 5 or 6 years ago for $450,000. Are very happy that we've been Queensland centric, right? But of course, did I just fucking kick that? Yeah, I did. Sorry about that. The old size 12 normally is in someone's ass, but in this instance, it's not. I've made no bones about it that we have really pivoted down to some growth corridors in Melbourne.
Yep.
And it's just the Melbourne thing now is that, so up here in Southeast Queensland, none of the builders have got side projects where they're building a house under their own steam and then they sell a completed product at the end.
Yep.
Single contract, pay full stamp duty, still got all the peace of mind as far as the warranties and the guarantees and all that stuff coming your way, but you don't go through the build process, you don't pay interest on the loan, you pay full stamp duty at the end because the builder's doing all that for you. Doesn't exist up here in Southeast Queensland.
No.
But it does. We've got 4 different builders we're working with down in Melbourne, and 2 of them especially are pretty strong in that area.
Yeah.
So I guess you're working with some clients now that just due to their circumstances, even though they had a pretty good build experience, they're like, if we don't have to do that, we prefer not to.
Yeah.
So what are we doing now?
It's a nice little alternative to our strategy. As you said, you still benefit from a brand new property. It's still yours. You get to get the maximum depreciation, all that good stuff that we talk about. But if your circumstances might preclude you, or it might just not be suitable to go through a 6-9 month build again, this is an alternate option, which we've got a couple of clients that are repeat that are coming back around. They've got some stuff that's potentially happening downrange in 2026, 2027, so they would rather get a second property this year and not go through the build again. Their position allows them to pay that additional stamp duty, and it looks like it should just be a natural sort of fit to add this to the strategy.
Yeah. So yeah, I really want to put forward, you saw already that we showcased you some awesome terrace homes that we have really pretty direct access to. Siri wants me to say something, go away Siri. But yeah, also now if you're like, I just don't want to go through the build's not for me, whatever it is, that you don't miss out on all the good bits and you don't have to go through the build. So anyway, that's something else coming our way, and look forward to sharing that with you on your connection calls and all the other subsequent calls going forward. So yeah, just something else I want to be able to share there. Well done, Patino. I know that's where your money is, mate. And as your coach, I will absolutely make sure we're doing that. Another trend that we're seeing coming through, though, just in that sort of whole finance thing, and Brett, I answered your question there about make sure the numbers stack up. Banker mum and dad.
Yeah.
It's huge now.
Yep.
Well, when I say huge, we've got 3 or 4 coming through.
Yep.
Which normally it's like one every 6 months.
Yeah,
There just seems to be a little flurry coming through. So yeah, I mean, just give us a bit of an insight, Ryan, on so people see the concept on our training videos, and then when you actually apply that concept and bring it to life inside their coaching sessions, what sort of responses have you been getting?
It's an interesting one, right? Because if we look at why is that trend occurring more lately, and we can attribute that to cost of living's higher, savings are taking longer for younger people, so your deposit and cost might be another couple of years away. But if we come back to that scenario we were talking about a little bit before, where mum and dad bought a property in Sydney or in Brisbane in the 90s, and it's now worth $1 million and there's minimal debt on it, there is actually available equity sitting in that property that somebody, son, daughter, could extract under their name as a loan to use for the deposit and costs for their property. Therefore, expediting, I guess, the acquisition of the property. They don't need to spend as long saving their
Because if you only got
cash.
30, 40 grand saved,
Yeah.
and you need about 80 grand to get
80
saving, it's going to take another 5 years
Yeah.
to save another 40 grand.
couple years
And then
later,
that
yeah.
$600,000 property is not worth $600,000 in 5 years anymore.
Yep.
Go back to your previous story.
Yep.
So getting in as soon as you are able to get in
Mm.
is absolutely worth your while.
Yeah, and it's a lot of young people are like, hey, can I do the bank of mum and dad thing? And so it's a natural part of the plan, and we'll sit down, we'll start to map out the nuances of it. There are some complexities. Get mum and dad involved, of course. They're the most important part, and understand their circumstances. Bring Deb in as the critical linchpin of all of this, of course, and then start to put that plan in place to get it's usually younger people into the market as soon as they can.
Yeah, love it. Another trend.
Yeah.
I love these little trends. And it's funny, I'm seeing all these come through, and I'm so glad. I've been doing this a few more indoor cricket seasons than you, and I'm so happy that you're getting immersed in some more complex circumstances. It is very, very good for your depth of knowledge there. Is that you've got a couple of clients that are in a committed, de facto, some sort of relationship,
Yeah.
but they're like, no, that's my partner over there. Yes, we live under the same roof. Yes, we share costs. Yes, we're on paper together, but I want to do this by myself.
Mm.
Give us a couple of little stories about that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. You empathise and can understand that when you're in a relationship, some people still keep things separate, and property is a big decision. It's a big journey, and if you want to go down that journey on your own, absolutely we'll explore it. But the thing to consider when you've got a partner and you've got kids is that whilst you still want to do that on your own, the ownership becomes a little bit more complex because you've now got dependents. The cost of living's more. So it's almost like you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it can become, depending on income, quite difficult to get borrowing on your own for your own investment property when you've also got a partner and kids and stuff.
Yeah. My little saying is when you're in some sort of committed relationship, especially if you are receiving a commercial benefit from it, full access to full RA, separation allowance and all that sort of stuff, there is no I.
Mm-hmm.
It's we. It's us. It's we are together.
Yep.
You're either in together and you do shit together, or you're not together.
Yep.
That's just my basic philosophy for it. Again, you're like, okay,
Cool.
no worries.
Yeah.
If you want to do it that way, it either is or it isn't going to work. And you know what happens? Most of the time, it doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. No, and it comes to a natural T-junction where, a good old DP of, do you want 50% of something or 100% of nothing?
Yep.
And that's the decision, your journey, your train set. Cool. Absolutely respect that you want to acquire property on your own. We're going to have to wait for circumstances to change, whatever that might be.
Guess what else has happened? You've had a couple of clients come through that have needed their own broker due to some overseas borrowing and funky stuff going on with their income.
This has given James and I a few grey hairs.
Tell us about that.
Yeah,
These are really good. So the bottom line up front here, team, is when someone comes and says, I've got my own finance / mortgage broker, we do that. But what we're really doing is like, oh, fuck. This is going to be tricky.
They're not dead.
I spoke to the amazing Matt and Jenna down in Canberra today who do have their own financier, and she is a weapon because she does all their business finance and she just knows how all the back end system works, and it flew through. And I said to Matt today, like, it's very rare for someone to bring their own finance solution and it all goes through smoothly.
Yeah.
It's almost always a pain in the ass when there's a third party involved, and in fact sometimes they're like, who the fuck are you, Axon? I don't talk to you. You're not my client. I'm not keeping you informed as someone that's coordinating the whole deal across all of it. So yeah, just tell about some great days you've had with that over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's been a tricky one. It's a lovely civilian couple that reached out to us to build an already established portfolio. There's overseas income involved, which comes with its own complexities in terms of lending. But this lovely couple decided to go out and, I guess, shop around for brokers to find a broker that's appeared to make things easier with the overseas lending, I guess.
Appeared to make
Appeared
things
to,
easy.
yeah.
That's ambiguous.
Yeah, and this is where James and I are sitting together going, okay, see how this goes. You know, they sat down with this broker, went through their process, and ultimately were given a preliminary assessment.
And paid for it.
Paid for a preliminary assessment of well north of $1 million based off some high overseas income. We're talking like 1.6, 1.7 million. The couple proceeded with that broker because happy days, we've got green lights, more than enough for a third or fourth investment property.
Way more than enough.
But then when it got to the actual assessment and the numbers and finance application, that 1.7 turned into 690 actual
Right.
borrowing.
Right.
That's a lot.
That's
Without doing mental maths, I didn't pass it.
another metric shit ton. Yes.
You know, and thankfully for this couple, the plan wasn't to extend beyond that anyway.
Yeah.
Thankfully, and they do have a fair amount of cash to support it. But if that was a client that didn't have those circumstances, they'd be in a peculiar situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people, in my experience, the main reason why people get their nose out of joint / upset, whatever you want to call it, is expectations haven't been met.
Yep.
I wasn't privy to the phone call with the clients, but just give us a bit of an insight into that.
Yeah, look, Ed, the couple are, they've said a couple of times, we will absolutely go with Deb for the next one. This hasn't been an easy journey for them. Thankfully, we're at a point where we can proceed with the property. Yeah, they were a bit shocked, naturally, at such a disparity in assessment. Again, thankfully for this couple, it didn't have a huge sort of negative result. But ultimately, it just shows and speaks to the importance of having a transparent and intelligent mortgage broker who's got your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
That does due diligence at the preliminary phase.
Yeah.
That does all the things that we come to expect from a broker.
We've had it a few times. So in summary, team, what Ryan's sort of saying there is that we'll go, okay, here's the plan, go away to your financier and just come back and let us know what the answer is as far as the borrowing capacity goes. And they come back and send in an email and go, yep, borrowing capacity is X, Y, and Z.
X number. Yep.
I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. Just go upstream for me, like, has all these other elements, ingredients, variables to your plan actually been taken into account and listed as line items on their, like, Deb's BC report is? They're like, no, they just, this is the email they provided us, so said that we can borrow enough. And like, straight away, I'm like, orange flag, I'm like, this is going to be a pain in the ass. So yeah, look, I'm sorry but not sorry that you've had to go through some of those curly circumstances, but you know, even we've got a really good client of ours, Mark, over in the Middle East. You know, he's very unique circumstances over there, and he's found a finance group which specialises in that, and it seems to be flying through.
Cool.
So it's
Great.
you know, I'm not poo-pooing it all the time, but certainly, Ange, as you put forward there, so grateful for Deb, and you know, team, if you've had a chance to speak with Deb, just give her a bit of love in the chat there. If she's not listening right now, certainly she'll be watching the replay. So we're very, very grateful of having that smart, intelligent, caring finance broker that does provide the requisite level of details to everybody up front, so we know what the left and right of arc is before we even start. You know, because imagine if it came back at 390.
Yeah, that's right. Like that's
You know.
we're in a position where, for most clients, that would be the end of the road.
Yeah.
And they could get themselves in a anyway.
What a big fucking waste of time that'll be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Glad you said it, not me.
yeah, mate. What else were we going to talk about?
I think you had a story. that you
Yeah,
were
I
gonna
do. Why were we going to tell this story though? That's the bit that I'm trying to come back to. Oh, it's people having windfalls of money.
Yep.
And then just go and buy and do stupid shit with that money. So
Going off the
I
plane.
finished my time at Kapuka as a recruit instructor in 1999. Got promoted to sergeant. Went up to Townsville, and Timor had kicked off then, like the original Timor in 1999, the old Interfet. And it was sort of like March, April 2000, where the first bunch of people that went to Timor came back. They've been over there for 6 months. first deployment really, except for Somalia and a couple of other ones, but first large-scale deployment of military troops for many, many years. And the car parks in Townsville went from Toyota Corollas to HSV Utes in a very short period of time. It was just really, really weird to see, certainly the, all right, I've come back, I've got 100 grand in the bank, I'm now going to go and buy my dream car sort of thing. I think we were talking about some of your clients have since bought caravans. Old mate went and bought you buy a Holden car or something as well. So, and again, it's your money, it's your life, it's, you can do with it what you want, and if you've got your eye on something that you've really wanted to buy, and then you get some sort of windfall come your way, inheritance, DBA, deployment, whatever, saving your ass off, then we're not here to stop you to go and buy that. No. But of course, there are second and third order implications. Is that, all right, cool. The 200 grand that you got, if you just spent 140 grand on a car, you're now back to 40 grand again.
The plan changes.
And you're now 5 years away from buying your first investment property or something that is going to go up in value.
Yep.
So I guess it's a folklore story of the whole, we have people come to us now, they're like, oh, just had my DBA paid or got inheritance or whatever, and I'm not going to go and buy a HSVU. People know that story because it fucking happened. Yeah. Right? And I'm sure you think about all of your units, ladies and gents, that you've served with over the years, and you're like, oh yeah, there was a deployment and people come back and the car park looked very different, very soon. And I just love the fact that there's a lot of young people coming to us now that do have a really good mindset. We're talking to Lachlan and his family last night, and his mum and his little sister, and his little sister's 19 years old, and she's on that call talking about the R word, retirement.
Oh,
and I was
good.
like, bravo, young girl.
Wow.
Bravo that you are sitting there with your mum and your brother, and you've got a wealth creation mindset, you're still studying, you're doing a double law degree, you're going to be a kick-ass lawyer down the track, and you're now buying into a family circumstance where your retirement is going to fucking love you because you started when you were 19.
I'm still trying to think what other R word might be.
Recession. That's generally what they talk about in politics, is the other R word. Well, there's another one, it's Robbie, but he wasn't saying that.
That's closer. That's closer to what I was thinking.
Yes, it's the R word.
Yeah, incredible. 19-year-old. Amazing.
Retirement, mate. It's so good. The HSVU is the furthest thing from her mind.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just when you're talking about bloody mindset, look at this, Brett Smith. Oh yeah, Mio Tecos from 92 in Edinburgh. Every one of them had a rice rocket. There you go.
Rice rocket.
Debbie's the best. Caitlin Wilkinson, thanks Mum and Dad. Love you, all of you done with your family. Truly appreciate the support. Love working with your clients, etc., etc. So, yeah, it's just, and I congratulated both of them again last night on the call with the mum, setting up a family trust, etc. And it's just so good to be a part of when there is a family that is getting together and is capitalising on the intergenerational wealth that has been created by their forefathers, to use it for a term, that they're now putting plans in place and they want us to be a part of it.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal, hey?
Yeah, really special.
So don't even think about the whole HSVU thing because we're now putting it on your radar.
Can you get those anymore?
Probably not.
I think it's Ford Raptors or something these days.
That's almost better than the C word. You're absolutely right, Angie. There is a 4-letter C word that has been flown around our office now for many, many years.
Dub's eyes just rolled in.
It's not the one you think about, Daniel. It's the word is C-A-R-E, care. 4-letter C word. Put it up on your bloody board there and away we go. Mate, we've only got another couple of minutes to go.
Holy moly.
What about some key... I was going to use this as a bit of a bottom line up front, but I reckon some key takeaways from a market point of view.
Yep.
We've got our 7 ingredients to a healthy property market, and that's the philosophy and the principles that go towards making sure that not one of our almost 600 properties that we've provided for the defence community have ever gone down in value. None of them have even gone through that cycle where someone's like, oh, this is a fucking 4 out of 10. No, it hasn't happened.
No.
Right? And I don't plan on it happening anytime soon because we've been really smart about the recommendations we've provided to our clients about where to buy.
Yep.
But the 8th ingredient is like market sentiment, market confidence.
Yep.
Interest rates are coming down.
Yep.
They still can't build houses fast enough in these growth corridors that we're getting access to.
Anyway, yeah.
When you've got literally a few 100,000 people moving to these growth corridors in the next 10 to 15 years, which should be the horizon for all of you when you buy your next property, is not how much is it going to be next year, or the year after, or the year after, what's it going to be in 5, 6, 7, 10 years time? Yep. That's what you need to be able to be asking yourself. But yeah, what other trends are you sort of seeing in the market?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, and this kind of potentially comes back to what Brett was asking before about homeowners and investors, is interest rates are at the forefront of everybody's mind. Whether you are a homeowner and it's your dream home or it's an investment property, we know that interest rates have had a reduction. And we know that the big four banks and most reputable economists are saying that rates are going to continue to come down for the next 6 to 12 months. And they could come down quite sharply. So that, of course, will play into market sentiment and confidence. Certainly, people will feel a little bit easier getting into the market, or people that are already in, they go, hey, now might be the time to build the portfolio again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I certainly know that, Deb, I hope you don't mind me sharing that, you've certainly been able to speak to some clients about some structures of finances around their properties they're buying in some of these emerging growth corridors, the ones down in Melbourne. And she says, like, look, this is what it was like back 5 or 6 years ago in Ripley. This is what it was like when we're trying to get the finance approved. And people persevered, people got in early, and have a look what it is now. So yeah, it's certainly having that that runway of time and that runway of perspective that you're able to sort of pass on to people is absolutely fundamental. Brett, I like your inclusion there, mate. Cash is a really good 4-letter word as well, but it's not the one that matters the most.
Not quite care.
Yeah. Thanks, Rhino. I love that, mate. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Daniel, well done, mate. I really enjoyed some of the B-roll coming through on the back end as well. Hope you enjoyed that one, ladies and gents. Don't forget, if you're in Sydney tomorrow night, you're in Canberra on Thursday night, let us know ASAP. We will definitely try and squeeze you in. All the beers, all the sausage rolls, all the beer barries and whatever else is going to be on us as well. We might even throw a couple of Milky Bars in there also. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, mate.
We'll be on the road. You'll see us. Caitlin will be taking a bunch of little videos and stuff about us being at the airport and on the way down to Sydney and Canberra. Can't wait to see you all, and we'll see you all again in about 4 weeks' time, where we can do it all again. There you go. That's us.